Hi, my name is Pasan Brown. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, Ohio. Currently, I'm a student at the University of Cincinnati pursuing a degree in international business. In my hometown, I've been working with local companies and organizations like the United Way Greater of Cincinnati, Learn and Grow, Cincinnati Public Schools, and APicture'sWorth for a couple of years now on a project called Elevating Voices of Change. In this video, called Widening the Lens in Your Stories, I'm going to share some important lessons that I've learned about how stories can increase understanding and empathy. I also talk about a project I started at Withrow High School University that helps students and community members see each other in new ways. So let's get started. First off, let's be real. While talking about stories matters so much, did you know we learn pretty much everything we know through and because of stories? It's true, stories are building blocks of our brains used for understanding. When you hear a story about a person or a type of person or a neighborhood that builds your brain understanding of certain groups of people in certain neighborhoods, for good or bad, everyone's brain has only been fed so many stories, a mix of what you lived and what you've been told, and those limited stories often repeat over and over again because of what you automatically think of as true. Think about the stories we hear on the news, social media, and even from our friends. What we are trained to pay attention to, the 5 W's, the who, what, when, where, and why. How often do we learn about the why, or what about the consequences of the other W's? But the W's give us a single point of focus, of a bigger picture, and typically, that's all we get. Consider the commercial for the news outlet, The Guardian, and what it tells us about the danger of a single point of view.
An event seen from one point of view gives one impression. Seen from another point of view, it gives quite a different impression. But it's only when you get the whole picture you can fully understand what's going on.
But how do we move beyond those old W's? Our friends at APicture'sWorth offer an alternate approach that's simply to remember the 3 A's: approach, awareness, and accountability. Let's get started with the approach. Are the people you are focusing on in your stories aware of how and where their stories are being shared? Have you told them what you do and do not control about their stories? Have you given them a way to stay in touch and have access to their stories? Is there an opportunity for them to review their story or change their mind about being featured? This is really about approaching people with respect, and that approach sets everyone up for success. Our second A is awareness. Awareness of some important points that can guide your interaction with people whose stories you want to share. The first point of awareness is thinking about how you're showing up. You may not consider yourself as a person of power or privilege, but that may be an assumption about you by folks who don't know you. So consider a piece of wisdom from Conflict Transformations expert Bob Stangers. Asking is an exercise in power. Think about it for a minute. When you ask a question, you are setting the terms of your conversation. You're telling them what you think is important, but what you think matters most. Awareness also means listening actively, focus on what you hear versus what you want to say. While you may not be an expert in trauma, you can always set and respect clear boundaries and expectations that make it less likely for you to re-traumatize people. Finally, our final and favorite A, accountability. This is a big piece that we hold not just through one conversation, but in building relationships that you wish to last. In our stories, we are accountable to our audience and sharing true information, right? But who else are we accountable to? Our employers and editors? Sure, but what about the person who is trusting us with their story? And by the way, is this an overall point of our stories, reinforcing stereotypes that limit our audiences? Will this person being featured feel seen and heard or used and tokenized? While you can't know the answers to these questions, asking them and truly considering the impact of your story, whether it's long form video or even an Instagram reel, should give you the time for reflection and care. And as our lesson ends, I'm excited to share examples of what the 3 A's can look like in action. This example I led as a part of United's Way Elevated Voices project alongside great folks at Learning Grove and Families Forward, the Withrow High School community, and APicture'sWorth. Take a watch now. We ain't gonna be here all day, but we gonna be here all day. So I really want y'all to dive in, because this doesn't happen every day. Like, you can't sit here and talk to people from the community about how young people feel.
Today was a great culmination of bringing students and community members together to have authentic, honest conversations about how they see one another, how they understand one another, how they make decisions about one another, and how they can connect more authentically and more regularly.
And how do we work to fill the knowledge gaps with truthful, accurate, and critical counter-narratives?
Really, it's about changing the narrative. We partnered with one of the seniors here at Withrow High School, Pyson Brown, and one of his suggestions was that we just look at and consider the narrative around our Black and our brown students.
The importance of finally being heard by people that you don't even know, but you know they hold so much weight in the real world, improves our communication, improves us handling situations daily.
So I think one of the important things about how these two conversations were planned was to be very clear about agreements, right? And I think setting those agreements up front takes the pressure off people to feel like they have to put this front up. We basically asked people to be vulnerable and to be okay with being vulnerable and to listen with an open mind.
First name, we don't need to know titles. No one wants to know titles. So I'm Michelle.
It was really great to have an opportunity to just be Kareem. No title, no position, no expectations from that. It was just who I am. And you don't always get an opportunity to see the true, authentic self because we have masks on. And from those masks, people make stereotypes about us. This was powerful because the expectation is that we come in and we don't have those masks.
The students specifically set certain ground rules when we started this process, and we wanted it to be student-led.
Avoid interrupting, avoid attempts to persuade. Speak for yourself, share airtime, be respectful of all opinions, even if you don't share them. Keep an open mind. Listen before speaking and give grace, mutual respect, and that's my favorite one, don't call people out. So them would be the ground rules that me and my peers set.
I think a lot of times the inner city youth are the forgotten youth. The ghetto youth are the forgotten youth. Some of the public school youth are the forgotten youth. And I think it's imperative that their voice is heard, that we listen and talk to them.
I came in with some bias. I came in with some preconceived assumptions that I knew what they needed, and they still blew my mind. They still taught me what I thought I knew and expanded even more.
I honestly really wasn't sure what to expect. I was a little bit nervous, but I walked out of here feeling like I had just won the lottery getting to be here. It felt like a gift, quite honestly.
What I've gained from it is really just showing the different perspectives in Black and brown youth and just showing so much hope and talent for the future, and just really trying to get our point across and our feelings, our ideas to community members.
It's a lot of times what we see over the news is a lot of negative things. We don't see those positive stories. And I see a lot of positive stories in the room. I think these kids are well on their way. I just think they may need a push, they may need a hand out or a hand up, encouragement, so that they could be successful.
When you change the narrative, you change the world, and this is a really powerful pathway toward that narrative change that honestly, I was not expecting to see happen, and I'm so honored to have been a part of it.
I think everyone that was involved last week walked away with a much positive attitude and outlook on where we're going with our future.
I'm just so blessed, and I'm so happy that I got the opportunity to have a discussion with people. This is literally what I love to do. I love to talk and advocate for Black and brown people, and especially youth. I'm just so happy.
I feel like the more that we can get Withrow students involved in the community and the community involved here, it can only be a mutually beneficial arrangement.
I hope that the future of this program and this model expands to other schools. We can't keep this type of excitement contained in a bottle just here at Withrow University. My desire is that we're able to do this project throughout Greater Cincinnati.
Not only do this in individual schools, but then have the schools mix so that we say, okay, we've got some Withrow students, some Hughes students, some Euler students at the same table talking to community members, and then the perspectives will be much, much greater because the diversity of the city would be represented.
We're just paving the way for young people and older people to bridge that gap. Be sure to download our guide to the 3 A's to support your story and the community members. Look for our next episode to learn more about ethical storytelling and how it can just impact the world.